Pichon back at you for part 2 as we sit and talk about a phenomenal event that's going to happen on July 18th and 19th for our preschool teachers. We're talking birth to 5-year-old teachers. We're going to celebrate them. And what better way to celebrate our preschool teachers than having my next guest as the speaker for that night, Pastor Jonathan Everett of the Rock of Ages Baptist Church. Oh, we got the Rock Nation in the house. How are you doing today, Pastor?
Doing fantastic. That's a lot of pressure just now.
He's built for it. He's built for it.
Thank you so very much for the opportunity. First of all, thank you for your heart, for seeing the need for their social development and deficiencies, for our systems, not being able to celebrate them on a wider scale. But we'll get into that. But thank you so very much for your heart.
All right. So we do know our preschool teachers, and I know the church you pastor is almost mega. It's on the scale of mega. I'm sure you have preschool and early school teachers in your congregation, but did you know, or were you aware that more than 66% of our early educators suffer with depression and stress? The main two things. The main two things. Our theme is stop the wheels on my bus from going around and around. Can you just talk about some of the stress that you see even in your local congregation, some of the stress you see among your educators?
You know, one of the things I think we have to clarify this, and this is a big misconception of mental health, that we blur those lines by saying mental health is mental illness. And I think if we can constantly drive that point home to our communities that they are not the same. Mental health is like physical health, that you have to exercise, right? You have to read, you have to listen to therapeutic music. You know, one of the things that really struck me is my kid, right? My son, he's 12, and he was coming home, and I'd be hearing this water noise at night. You know, that I was like, man, what's leaking around? You know, right. You know, in our house, I was like, man, something leaking, the pipe bust. And then I go in his room and he sleep because he's listening to it. And I was like, oh, wait 1 second. They're starting to grasp that it's a consistent, it's a intentional thing for mental health, mental illness, chemical imbalances. That's a totally different thing.
Correct.
And if we really look at those things separately, then we know how to compartmentalize our efforts, right? And stop saying, oh, you got mental health issues. No, you have mental illness.
Right.
All of us have mental
All
health.
of us.
So to see that in our church, you know, of course, for years, church has always been, you show up to usher, you show up to greet, you show up to sing, you show up to deacon, without considering the emotional state of those people, right? And so every month at our church, I give our leaders a Sunday off. And I say, hey, listen, you take your break. You go to another church, or you go get some self-care, you go do something, because it's vitally important. I wouldn't want to usher Sunday if I just buried my mother Friday.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Or I ain't coming up here praying right if at work I'm stressed out, and we can see those symptoms though. We can see how they agitated, they short in speech, they can't articulate their emotions.
Correct.
I could just keep going over.
It's awesome. And you know, my mind was traveling because I do own a very successful child care center in New Orleans. And what I did, just one small thing, I gave the teachers a 10-minute break. Now, you think 10 minutes is nothing, but during that 10-minute break, he or she, they can only use the bathroom, use their phone, or relax. They can't do any work for the center. You have to take those 10 minutes. And I have seen a difference in the way they come back after those 10 minutes. I've seen a difference. We want to do that on a larger scale on July 18th when we celebrate our teachers. You mentioned something about having to show up and you still have issues going on. We want to sit our preschool teachers down. We want you to know we know exactly what you're going through. It's amazing. I was sharing with Pastor Barriere. It's amazing. Oh, yeah, I love it. Man, it's you're just saying that because it's true.
I'm sick. Yeah, that's true.
You know, it's just amazing how our teachers have to show up every day. Every day. And some of our teachers, they leave issues at home unresolved, bills, unpaid, relationship issues that they struggle with, but they have to show up and smile every day for our little ones.
You know, to be honest with you, that's one of the reasons why we at the church have always tried to extend our reach beyond Sunday morning.
Yes.
Right. And as bold as this is about to be, and probably a lot of preachers going to get mad at me, with saying that Sundays are not enough.
Not enough.
Right. It's necessary.
Yes.
But in today's society, post-pandemic, today's society with untreated trauma, today's society with a vast majority of our kids growing up in such an overly populated, amplified information age, where there were a time where we can look at the news sporadically or, you know, incrementally and be like, oh, that happened in Ukraine, or that happened in London, or that happened in Africa. But it was a week's time. We was able to compartmentalize our emotions. We was able to say, oh man, that's tough. Oh, we feel bad for the bombing. But now it's every 5 seconds. It's round the clock. And I'm not sure if this society know how to observe a thing without absorbing it.
Right. That's
you get
good.
what I'm saying? So instead of them just saying, oh, that's a news flash, they take it personal.
Take it in. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so still to this day, I haven't seen George Floyd death.
Wow.
And I keep telling people, I don't need to see everything.
Really don't. You really don't.
But for me, mentally, for my psychosis, I don't like to see everything, right? Because I don't want it to make an imprint on my mind to deflect my good deeds to society. So beyond Sunday morning, so that's one of the reasons for the prayer line, right? Is to have this psychological, theological conversation that puts us in the living room and say, hey man, what's going on with you?
I love it.
What happened to that?
I love it.
Just sitting down and say, hey man, how was your day?
Yeah. And really mean it. I really want to listen.
Really want to hear it. Beyond your gifts, beyond what you contribute to the world. You know, can you come out of your world? Let me visit your world. What you doing today? Right.
Let me visit you. Listen, preschool teachers, this is just a taste of what you're going to get on Thursday, July 18th. You want to zoom in and scan that QR code, get yourself registered. It is absolutely free. Another thing that we share that we're going to do for our preschool teachers, you know, their eating habits.
Yeah.
The majority of them, based on a survey that we did, their eating habits are just not there. And it's no fault of their own because they don't really have a lot of time to eat healthy. We have fast food that you can get in a second. But during, fast and unhealthy. But during this celebration, we want to give you fresh fruit, fresh vegetable. We want to show you all, alternative ways that you can eat and still get that, just that little edge. I'm full and I can get back to do what I need to do. A bag of chips and a soda is just not gonna help you.
It's not cutting it.
It's just not. It is not.
I was recently at Steve Harvey Ranch, and his nutritionist, his farmer, was telling us how like we gravitate to just grab anything, thinking the body just need food versus realizing which food it needs. Right. He was like the same amount, the quantity by which you absorb it, that big old meal you taking in. He said, man, you could have took a bowl of nutrients, right? That body need, and you'd have been full
just as full.
Faster.
Yeah.
Right? Than eating all of, well, I like the chillings a little bit, but I understand.
It's not the podcast for the chillings.
God, but he said you gotta discipline yourself.
You do.
Right? And this is a true thing because I think this is the greatest temptation in New Orleans, right? You got
where we live.
Discipline.
Where we live.
Very disciplined. Now staying in DC.
Oh yeah.
They had
no comment, no taste at all. Cardboard,
So
cardboard.
when I came back home, I was like, I got to discipline myself.
So preschool teachers, we want you to know that we want to give you alternatives. There'll be no soda served. We're going to have water, different kinds of water. You would be surprised at how well you feel when you consume water. I mean, it's just the basic thing, as Pastor Barriere said, the basic thing the body needs is water because 90% of the body is water. When we did the survey, Pastor Everett, and I was sharing with Pastor Barriere, did you not know that 66% of our preschool teachers with the stress, it goes undiagnosed, it goes untreated because they can't afford, most of them cannot afford mental health care. What's your take on our healthcare system?
It's not an action item in no field.
So
you go from the criminal justice, you come all the way to the school system, you go from the church. It's not even considered because it's been a stigma. And because systematically we haven't approached it. We've been dealing with isolated incidents where we'll see a circumstance and we'll try to address it, but that's just symptomatic. It's not the source. The source is holistically, right? And I was talking about this at an event recently about systematic dream killers. Right? It's like the environment is not safe to cohabitate with other people because it's not systematically structured to be healthy enough. You take kids from this city, you bring them to a more structured environment, and you'll see a total different behavior patterns. Right? It's the same thing. So everything that is ingrained in certain systems, certain structures, it involves some kind of mental health exercise. So, you start talking about, okay, we providing mental health for those inmates, but not the sheriffs.
Right.
It's like they need it just as bad as
just
you need
as
it,
bad.
which we commend and say, well, if the students have the supplies and the teachers don't have the supplies, we still at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
So that's why this is so important.
It is.
That we're dealing with it from a systematic perspective.
I like
not
that.
Just saying, oh, we just gave some school plots
exactly
away.
Exactly.
Right? No, we resources, the total person, and to see all of that stuff undiagnosed, man, I think it's a horrible indictment upon us as a city not to be able to see the human side of a person. You love Africa, I love Africa.
I love Ghana. So my Ghanaians.
We was in Bandaptai, Kenya, and we brought some soccer balls. Pastor Barriere was, man, I really love Pastor Barriere. So there was a moment where we issued out the soccer balls,
right?
And we all stood there, and all of us had tears in our eyes to see the excitement of these kids.
A ball.
Because of a ball or soccer ball. And somebody leaned over and said, this is so amazing just watching them finally being kids.
Yeah.
But that's what the structure provides. Wow. Right? The structure says, I'm safe enough.
Yes.
To be who I am naturally. Yeah. Right? And so all of that stuff that we're dealing with, undiagnosed, undetected,
especially our preschool teachers.
Yes, indeed.
Especially,
so it should be a safe space.
Yeah,
a safe space. So I'm not judged. I'm not looked at a certain type of way because I'm dealing with this.
That's right. Well, I'm excited because as I shared with Pastor Barriere, I'm glad the church, you represent the church. I'm glad you're stepping to the forefront.
Yeah.
And you're not just saying, oh, just pray about it, baby, it'll be all right. No, we need help.
Yeah.
We need help. Some of our churches, it's a whole nother podcast I have to do with our PTSD veterans, and they come back and now the churches are dark and then you got all the lights going on. But that's a whole nother thing. But our preschool teachers, listen, we're going to love on you. Yeah. There's so many gifts. I just thought about it, got a call during this podcast. We're going to give away hair, wigs, and weave.
No way.
Yes, way. Yes, way. Because our preschool teachers, they can flip that hair. Listen, they can flip that hair. So we want to make sure that we have so many things that you can use. You can't use book covers. We realize you can't use pencils and rulers, but we're going to have things that you can decorate your class, stickers. They just
have to come out of
pocket. I don't want them to come out of pocket.
That's vitally important to, once again, and I think everything should be interconnected.
Yes.
And it shouldn't be just profit margins that we're looking for our investments.
Exactly.
ROI is going to come regardless.
It is.
You know what I mean? So
it is.
At the end of the day, it should be an investment. These privatized funding and all these different things. If it's not legislation, we have enough privatized funding going around that says, no, this is a need. Right? This is, it's like in a community, everybody needs somebody who's a mechanic. Everybody need a barber.
They need a child care worker. You can't go to work without a.
So we take care of mechanics. Shade tree or not. Shade tree or not.
Absolutely.
He gonna fix that car, right?
Pay the man.
Barber and everybody else. And so these are needs that make up our 5-mile radius in our communities.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I cannot wait until July the 18th. You come get registered, sign up. We're not charging you one dime. We're offering so much. I can't even begin to tell you some of the mental health counselors who are going to be there to take your information. And they've given me their word, Pastor, that they're going to set up appointments and see these preschool workers on a sliding scale. Wow. And they have some funding that they could see you for nothing. So listen, it's time to go. This 15 minutes is just not enough. But I'm Melonie Pichon with Forgiven Ministries. We are sponsoring a back to school revival. civil and social. You want to come on Friday night? We're going to let you put on your all white, let your hair up or down so that you can just let your wheels on the bus go round and round. So we want to see you on July 18th and the 19th, 1415 Teche Street. You got to come. You just got to come. We have so much for you. Again, I'm Melonie Pichon. Anything in closing, Pastor Everett, to the Rock Nation? Thank you so much for being our sponsor.
Hey, listen, everybody, please, whatever you do, please register and be here and be a part of it. I think it's necessary, and I believe that it's going to be monumental.
All right. Again, thank you so much. We'll see you there.